The trial of the man accused of murdering 3 family members of singer Jennifer Hudson. William Balfour is charged with the murder of Hudson's mother, brother, and 7-year-old nephew. She's expected to be in court every day, and she's also on the 300-name list of witnesses who will testify for the opening statements, which begin on.
You don't care how people feel about the ritual. It's about does following the ritual work.
Last month, things got real ugly for Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo at the BAFTAs in London. A man in the crowd straight up yelled the N-word at them, and it was caught on camera like it was nothing. The wild part? The BAFTAs were pre-recorded, so that moment could have easily been cut out. But nope, they let it air worldwide anyway. Michael and Delroy were left standing there, forced to take that disrespect in front of everybody. Now jump ahead 4 weeks, same actor, same film, but suddenly he's at the Oscars, holding that Best Actor trophy, while the whole room is on its feet clapping for him. That kind of switch-up got people talking heavy. Coincidence? Katt Williams isn't buying it at all. He's saying the people in power pick and choose when to embarrass a black actor and when to lift them up. And if something feels staged, he's hinting it probably is. Then online, things get even more intense. Some folks are saying the Oscars itself is deeper than it looks, calling it a whole ritual loaded with hidden meaning. They're pointing at the statue, saying it resembles Sokar, the Egyptian god tied to the underworld and the dead. And then they highlight the name, Oscar Sokar. Like, that's not just random. But now, the spotlight shifts right back to Michael B. Jordan, with people claiming this Oscar win came with a price, like he had to go through public humiliation to get that moment. So just weeks ago, everybody saw what went down. Sinners actors Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo were standing on that BAFTA stage when that word got shouted at them on live TV, and the whole moment felt completely out of line. The explanation pushed out fast was that the man had Tourette's, and that quickly became the main media focus. Because of that, Michael and Delroy couldn't really respond without it turning into something else. But here's where things start to look strange. The BBC reportedly had a 2-hour delay, which means they had more than enough time to cut that moment out. Yet they still let it air for the world to see. And people noticed something else too. A microphone was aimed directly at the man, even though he was sitting dozens of rows back like it was set up to catch that exact moment. And all of this happened right when 2 black actors were standing center stage. Of course, apologies came rolling in. BBC called it a serious mistake, BAFT, as said sorry, and then everything just moved on like nothing happened. But Michael B. Jordan, he had to stand there and take that hit in real time, in front of a global audience. What really stands out is the silence after. Delroy Lindo did speak up, saying he wished someone had reached out to them after everything that happened.
God is good. God is good.
Hollywood is not really there to entertain you. Like, that's great that that happens, but propaganda is something that is important to all civilization. I understand what it's worth doing when the industry is canceling one black guy. I know what happens when they are going to elevate another, and I know what happens when they don't care about either of them. I'm saying that everything that happens in a business that's based off of pretend, that seems like a setup.
But Michael didn't say a single word about it. Then just 4 weeks later, he's on that Oscar stage, winning his first nomination and first Oscar for the exact same. And this lines up exactly with what Katt Williams has been saying. Think back to that Oscars moment when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. Everybody remembers the shock, the chaos, the headlines everywhere. But what gets overlooked is what happened right after. Not even an hour later, Will Smith is standing on that same stage, holding his very first Oscar like nothing just went down. Both Chris Rock and Will Smith ended up being embarrassed that night, just in completely different ways. One got hit on stage, the other faced the backlash in front of the whole world. And somehow, all of that unfolded in the same broadcast, back to back, like it was all part of one sequence. Katt Williams is saying that kind of timing isn't random at all. According to him, the industry leans on big names to create these shocking moments. And when something feels too perfectly lined up, he's making it clear there's probably more going on behind the scenes than people realize. And just look at what happened after that moment. Will Smith ended up getting banned from the Oscars for 10 years, and his career clearly took a hit after that. His film Emancipation didn't perform well, and people started saying he hasn't really bounced back the same way since. Meanwhile, Chris Rock's career went in the opposite direction. He landed a big Netflix special and started packing out arenas again with tickets selling fast everywhere. That contrast got people talking because it feels like one person takes the fall while the other rises up. That's exactly the point Katt Williams keeps pushing. In every situation like this, somebody ends up paying the price and somebody else comes out winning. Back in 2022, people say Will took that hit while Chris benefited after being embarrassed on that stage. Now in 2026, people are drawing comparisons, saying Michael B. Jordan faced that BAFTAs moment and then suddenly he's holding an Oscar just weeks later. Same pattern, different faces, and it's raising a lot of eyebrows. But what Katt is pointing out didn't just start with Will Smith or Michael B. Jordan. And this goes way further back than people think. We're talking about the very first time a black actor ever won an Oscar, Hattie McDaniel in 1940 for Gone with the Wind. It was a historic moment, no doubt, but the role she won for had people feeling uneasy even back then. She played a maid, a character built on stereotypes that made a lot of black audiences uncomfortable. And on top of that, the way she was treated that night raised serious questions. Even though she was being honored, she wasn't allowed to sit with everyone else at the main table. Instead, she was placed at a segregated table in the back of the room, separated from the rest like she didn't fully belong. Then fast forward to 2002, Halle Berry makes history as the first black woman to win Best Actress. And even now, she's still the only one to ever do it in that category. But people still talk about the role she won for in Monsters Ball. She played a woman who falls for a white man connected to the execution of her black husband, and that detail has kept the conversation going ever since. And then there's Monique, and her situation had people really questioning things. She won an Oscar in 2010 for Precious, playing a deeply abusive mother, a role that was tough to watch. But even after winning, things didn't go the way you'd expect. When she refused to campaign for free and didn't play along with the usual industry expectations, she said doors started closing on her. Imagine that, winning the highest award and still feeling pushed out. Then jump to 2014 when Lupita Nyong'o took home Best Supporting Actress for 12 Years a Slave. Another huge moment, but again, people focused on the role. She played an enslaved woman in a film about slavery. After her win, she shared that many of the offers coming her way were similar roles, mostly tied to that same kind of history. She even mentioned being approached for another project centered around a slave ship, which raised eyebrows. And then people bring up an even heavier situation involving Jennifer Hudson. When she won Best Supporting Actress for Dreamgirls in 2007, the timing stood out to many. Just months before that Oscar moment, she experienced a heartbreaking personal loss involving close family members, and that part of the story still gets brought into these conversations. And then, there's another layer people keep pointing out: the categories that still seem out of reach for black creators. It's something that keeps coming up again and again. For example, when it comes to Best Actress in a Leading Role, Halle Berry is still the only black woman to ever win, and that was all the way back in 2002. That's over 2 decades with no one else joining her in that space. For Best Actor in a Leading Role, the number of winners is still very small when you look at nearly a century of Oscars history. And when people look at Best Director, the conversation keeps coming up about how limited the recognition has been there too. All of this combined has people questioning what kind of roles are rewarded and who gets the power behind the scenes. The message some people take from this is hard to ignore. They say you can act in major films, you can be the face on screen, but having full creative control or shaping the narrative is a different story entirely. So, when you see Michael B. Jordan holding that Oscar, yeah, it's a big moment and it looks like pure success. But then you hear voices like Katt Williams asking a question that makes people pause. What had to happen before that moment? What did he have to deal with leading up to it? People are connecting the dots, the London moment, then the Hollywood celebration just 4 weeks later. Same film, same actor, totally different outcomes. Some see a pattern, while others think it's just coincidence. And that debate isn't slowing down anytime soon. And this is where the conversation really splits people down the middle. Some are looking at all these moments and saying there's a pattern you can't ignore, while others are like, nah, that's reaching too far. They argue that awards are about performances, timing, and promotion, not some hidden system pulling strings behind the scenes. But then you've got people who keep pointing at the same types of roles getting rewarded over and over again. They're asking why certain stories get pushed to the front while others barely get noticed. And why, when someone steps outside of that lane, things suddenly get complicated. That's why Katt Williams' comments keep spreading online, because he's saying what a lot of people are already thinking but not saying out loud. He's framing it like this isn't random at all, but part of a cycle that's been repeating for years. At the end of the day, it comes down to how you see it. Is this just how Hollywood works, or is there something deeper going on behind all the lights and applause? Either way, people are watching closer now, and every moment like this just adds more questions to the mix. And now people are starting to look ahead, wondering who could be next in a moment like this. Because if this really is a pattern, then it doesn't just stop with one actor or one situation. It keeps repeating, just with different names and different headlines each time. Some are watching every award show differently now, paying attention to the small details, the speeches, the moments that feel awkward, the scenes that go viral for all the wrong reasons. They're asking, is this just...
What you should know about this moment is that the BAFTAs were not streamed live, so they saw this happen in real time. Then when they edited together their broadcast, they decided to leave
that name. And how do you think it shaped the man you are today?
I'm a Babalawo, and my mom, when I was born, I got that name, fresh out the womb, and I just try to, live in that purpose, every day since.
So a Babalawo is a priest or diviner in the Yoruba religion.
Entertainment, or is there something else going on behind the curtain? Others are pushing back hard, saying social media is just connecting dots that don't belong together. They believe these are real careers, real work, and real achievements being turned into something they're not. But one thing is clear. Once people start questioning how these moments happen, it's hard to unsee it. Every new win, every big stage moment, it all gets analyzed way more than before. And whether you believe it or not, the conversation isn't going anywhere anytime soon. But when you really line it all up, it starts to hit different. From Hattie McDaniel being made to sit at a segregated table on the very night she made history, to Michael B. Jordan facing that moment on stage just weeks before holding that gold statue. At some point, people are going to ask, is all of this really just random, or is there more to it? Like Katt Williams said, if something feels like a setup, it probably is. Now it's your turn to speak on it. Do you think this humiliation then reward idea is real, or is this just how things sometimes play out in the industry? And if there really is something deeper going on, who do you think is calling the shots behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, share this video, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.